welcome to another episode of A Breath of Fresh Marketing. I'm your host, Melissa Ciudakis, and today I am here with Kris Rotonda. He is a dedicated shelter animal advocate and founder of Jordan's Way, a social media charity with a mission to inspire people to clear the shelters by choosing to adopt their furry friends. Backed by many sponsors, Jordan's Way is named after Kris's departed best friend and beloved adopted dog, Jordan. Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Melissa, for having me.
Of course. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Surely. Like I said, my name is Kris Rotonda. I grew up in North Jersey. I moved to Florida not too long ago. I've always been a huge animal advocate across, in New Jersey. I did a lot of stuff for shelters as a kid, volunteering. Coming to Florida, I kind of got into the same thing after I adopted Jordan. I just didn't do anything that had any kind of organization behind it. I've just always been a huge real estate kind of person too. I'm in real estate. Just fun-loving, energetic guy that just goes across the country to shelters doing these large fundraisers and kind of PR stunt moves to kind of inspire people in communities to kind of step in and help out their local shelters or rescues.
Nice. Have you always been an animal person?
Oh, always. Grew up with dogs and cats and birds.
Nice. When you were growing up, was it customary to adopt family pets from shelters?
Yes, we adopted. We also, we have, went through breeders before, but, we mostly adopted from shelters.
Okay. So tell me about Jordan's Way and its message.
So originally when I started Jordan's Way, it was just to kind of make the unnoticed noticed. I always wanted to go to shelters and target the senior dogs. I wasn't really big on showing puppies because I know they kind of sell themselves. And it went from being the unnoticed notice to the need of all getting these dogs noticed, but also how underfunded these shelters are across the country. I didn't realize that they're not government funded. The Humane Society of the United States does not fund any local humane societies, and same goes for the ASPCA. And I didn't know that until like maybe about a year ago. And I just kind of said we gotta do something that inspires a little bit of change across the country and kind of educates a lot of the people on, the dogs that are there and currently there from the time they've been there to, even the puppies to the seniors. And of course, educate the people on, the funding issue. So, Jordan's Way kind of is like a 2-for-1. We try to get the unnoticed notice from the dogs that have been there a long time and try to help fund those shelters. So it's kind of a 2-pronged organization.
Oh, that's great. So how does social media help get your message out there?
Facebook is one of the biggest beasts we have. And, I always tell people this is the moment to use and abuse it when I'm on the feed. With all the sharing capabilities and how user-friendly Facebook is, groups, and sending in private messenger, we can do a lot of stuff in 4 hours during our feeds that people plan for 6 months to a year that can't do it, just because we have the power of social media. And some people, like the outside events, I think are becoming a little outdated. And I'm kind of proving that when I go to a shelter and they're like, our biggest fundraiser is $5,000. It took 3 months to plan. And it's like, we contacted you a week ago and we show up a week later, 4 hours into it, we're up $25,000. It just kind of shows the difference in the beast of social media and what it can do for these shelters. And of course, just the attention on the animals too.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we'd like to hear more about the organization's namesake, Jordan. Can you tell us about her?
Yeah, Jordan, I moved from New Jersey to Florida back in 2009. And, I was kind of like, I was trying to finish off college. I went through a bad breakup. And when I first got to Florida, I was just very lonely. I was living in a very small little apartment. I did have a senior dog that I took from home with me. And I kind of was like, this dog needs a friend. I kind of more of an energetic companion as well, too. And so I went to the local shelter here in Florida, and every dog, all down every aisle in this one shelter was barking at me, yelling, screaming. And I remember like it was yesterday, there was a dog that was just laying there and, with another dog in the same kennel and just no life to her. Just kind of like just looking up like, yo, I've been passed over so many times. It's like, it ain't happening today. So I kind of inquired about her, and then the shelter was telling me she's 3.5 years old. She was born here. Like this dog's been here 3.5 years. And I was like, dang it. Like, that's a little too much. So I immediately said that I'm taking her, I don't care what the fee is. She's mine. And the minute I got her home, the minute she got my car, she was just like, the loyalty was just there already. We were attached by the hip. I took her everywhere with me, the beach, the gyms, everything I could take her to, I took her with me, on runs, all the time. And she was just a big inspiration for me to finish things like finish off college, my degrees, and just to start a business and go after life. And just, I had somebody when I came home that was there and I was loyal. And, that dog showed me more things than even an ex-wife could have, or wife at the time could have showed me. Any girlfriend that could have showed me. That dog showed me the kind of love and loyalty that, it's still kind of like, it's hard to find in people.
That's nice. You said you brought Jordan to the gym with you. Did she spot you?
Oh yeah, she was ready. Gave me the look. Like, yo, better figure this out.
That's awesome. So tell us why more people should get their pets from animal shelters.
I think because people don't realize that it's not just pit bulls and, the aggressive dogs at shelters. I've seen everything from, from pugs to poodles to, German shepherds and huskies all across the country at shelters, and they're always overpopulated. And being underfunded, that can cause problems even when it comes to feeding the animals. So, I'd always tell people to go to the shelters or rescues first before they, go anywhere else. Yeah,
definitely. So what are some of the things Jordan's Way does to raise awareness towards adoption through the shelters?
Our big thing is our 4-hour feeds, obviously. One of the biggest things that we always try to do during our feeds is going kennel to kennel. The reason I like going kennel to kennel and inside the kennels most of the time is because, when you first go into a shelter, one of the, dogs notoriously show terribly. Like you go to a shelter, they bark at you, they look aggressive, they look mean. They just have a terrible way of showing themselves at first glance. So, one of the things Jordan's Way does is we highlight at every shelter. We go in every kennel we go into. I sit down at their level. I put the selfie in front of me and let the dog lick my face or whatever they're going to do, just so people can see like the dog with a human in more of a relaxed, real environment. Like it would be like with you on your couch at home. So we do a really good job exposing the true humanized version of it, the dog and the person.
Oh, that's great. I love that. So one of the most notable videos on your website and YouTube channel is when you decided to sit in an animal shelter for 72 hours to raise awareness. Where did that idea first come from?
I was doing a lot of sit-in stuff for shelters in Florida, and I would go into kennels. I would try to stay as long as I can in each kennel just to kind of showcase each and every dog. And there was somebody that approached me from a shelter here in Florida. It's called Your Humane Society SPCA. And they had said, have you ever thought about doing something like this where you did like a sleepover to really show day and night? And first it was 24 hours they were going to do. And then it turned into a 72-hour thing. So when they proposed a 72-hour thing, I was just kind of like, okay. So they had staff that stayed overnight just to make sure I was okay. I went out exactly when they went out, which was once or twice a day. I ate when they ate. Everything was strict as the way they would do it. So I showcase every aspect of it. I know it was cut down into like 3 or 4 minutes, but there was a lot more to it. Just smells, the constant rejection, rejection meaning like people would come to a shelter, walk by the kennels all day long. And imagine what that feels like for a dog that just kind of sits there like with hopes, of something. It is something that's an eye opener for most people when they see it, because it's like, oh wow. Like not only the smells, the rejection, the solitude, it's just complete confinement for 24 hours a day. Most shelters don't have a staff. I didn't realize this with the shelter, and most of the shelters across the country, they only have a staff from like 8 to 5. So from 5 to 8 the next morning, those animals don't get seen again. So that's where it became a lonely time. It was like, okay, like nobody, you got to come back until 8. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that is a long time to be alone. Yeah. So how did people initially respond to you doing this 72-hour,
I looked very hard on the dodo when they published it on their page. There was probably, I think there was about 400,000 comments. It was something around there.
Oh, wow.
And if you look at the original post, you can go right to it from the Jordan's Way group, because I have it on top of the Jordan's Way group. The original post, I believe, has somewhere around a couple 100,000 comments, and they're all the same thing. It's very like tear jerking. It's very like eye opening. And then there's some other comments that are saying like, this inspired me to be a volunteer, to be a foster, to start looking out, for shelters and stuff like that. So it definitely inspired a lot of positive angles.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very cool. And you're probably really excited and surprised at such a huge following and outreach from everybody. That's really cool.
Oh yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about visiting the shelters and working with the animals?
I think it's because I think one of the things that I kind of like the most is the reaction when we first get there. People are just thrilled to be a part of this tour that we started with one shelter in Florida, and it just went to like 31 other states, almost 200 shelters at this point. The other thing is, people always say, "Where do you get your energy from?" And it's like my biggest excitement is when they open those doors. That like it's like a stage for me. That aisle of those kennels, it's just like that stage kind of opens up for me, and like the energy just comes in. It's not the coffee, it's not these monster drinks, like it really is the dogs. Like when I walk in there, I'm looking for Jordan. I'm looking for that dog that was at the end that nobody's going to want to see, that I can go, okay, that's the one that's going to get a lot. Like I'm going to put that one on camera the most. Like when I first go to a shelter, I always turn to the director and I say, who's been here the longest? And she points me, usually it's to the end at the right. Like it's like always just like that would kind of, because we do 2 feeds a day, 8 days straight. People are always like, how do you still have energy? How do you have a voice? How do you have? It's like it's not geared by anything more than passion. It's just you can drink all the coffee you want, but if you don't have the passion, nobody can keep up with me with what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. But those monster drinks don't don't slow you down either.
It's good.
So we'd like to hear more about your fundraising. I noticed that you recently raised over $58,000 for Dog Rescue RS. Can you tell me about that amazing feat?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, our fundraisers are so different because it's nonstop 4 hours. It's me on the front of the camera, but behind that camera is, obviously me on camera, and then behind that camera is probably 25 shelter workers calling businesses, texting local businesses, calling their friends, texting their friends. All that stuff is being worked behind the scenes. So I always tell people it's really like Jerry Lewis telethon. I'm holding the microphone and you got all these people just working it. And that rescue in particular, before I got there was a news segment about me coming to that rescue. And a local business had said it would match the first $25,000 that was donated. So once we got to 25,000, somebody came in with another 25,000, and then we raised another 8,000 before the end, and it came up to 58. That was one of the most exciting. That's my vision long term. When I come back for round 2 and round 3 to these shelters, they're all going to know what to expect. And now it's easier to get businesses to react on round 2 of the 50-state tour, round 3. That was one of those fundraisers that I kind of was like seeing the vision. You're kind of seeing what's coming in the future.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of the challenges you have shelter employees do to raise money?
We do a lot of fun things. It's not just me talking. I love shining the personalities on the people at the shelters, because I always say people think who aren't part of that bubble of shelters, they think that like it's a bad connotation, like it's Dr. Kevorkian works at every shelter. These people that work are there because they want to be. They don't make $100,000 a year. So one of the things I like to do is to shine on their enthusiasm. So we do stuff like, pie faces. We do the ice bucket challenges. We've done the slime bucket challenges. We do something I like to call egg roulette, where it's kind of like, I put 2 people together and I'll be like, okay, in the next 3 minutes, if we raise $50 or more, the other person's going to throw dunk the egg on top of the person's head. If we don't, the other person goes. So it's just constant, just fun challenges. We do push-up challenges, sit-up challenges, everything to just kind of get the people who are watching engaged, involved. And people have a lot of fun with it because they're like, oh, I'll donate $50 if you ice bucket my friend Alicia there or something. People just have so much fun just kind of with that kind of drama and excitement. So it usually turns into a really fun 4-hour fundraiser. That's
awesome. Which challenge is your favorite one?
It's probably the pie face challenge. I think one of the funnest things is to watch the splat of a pie face behind somebody when you throw it out of it. It looks a lot more hurtful than it is, but it just people's reaction throw the first one is usually something's gonna happen after this. There's retaliation in him, But it's not painful. It's just whipped cream. But it is funny. But we also do fun stuff with the dogs too. Like if we get 5,000, I always buy from the local McDonald's burgers for every dog. If we get to 10,000, we do. I call it Wiener Mania, but every dog gets a hot dog.
Nice. What gave you the ideas to create those donation milestones like cheeseburgers for dogs?
I don't know. it all just kind of happened. I don't remember what inspired each one when they kept coming. Like I think I came up with Burger Mania originally from a Florida shelter before I even started the state tour. There was a dog in Florida that I was doing a lot of work in shelters in Florida, and a shelter reached out to me. I'm not a trainer, but they were like, "You just have a way of connecting with these dogs. Would you work with this dog named Daisy?" And this dog Daisy was just like didn't like men. She wanted to, every guy there was that came to the shelter. When I first went there, it was no different. So I said, "Listen, how I got my girlfriends in the past is you take them to nice dinners, you seduce them with food." And, so Daisy was a girl. I was like, "This is what I'm going to do." I used to take my George Foreman grill out there at night, like nighttime. It was like 8 o'clock at night when nobody was there. It was just me and Daisy because it was an outside shelter. And I would grill up like 10 burgers. And I would sit outside of her kennel and just one by one, just give her pieces of burgers. And like eventually she went from being the mean, I hate this guy. Probably 3 weeks into that procedure, I was able to put my hand up against the kennel and she would lick my hand. And then another day would go by and we did a photo shoot together a week later. And then I did a ride along with her where she was in the car with me. And I was actually at one point laying down on the ground and she was licking my face on camera. And people who knew that dog at the shelter for like 5 year was like, "You're going to get attacked." And never got touched. So Burger Mania kind of started with that dog. That kind of move I did to help that dog Daisy a long time ago really inspired the burgers thing. And I just kind of took that across the state lines a little bit.
That's really cool. I like that, how you worked with her and you were patient and you won her over and then you built that trust. So that's pretty awesome. Very cool. So how is the rest of the 50 state tour going?
Oh, it's going great. We're about, since January 10th, we're now about $75,000 away from 2 million raised since January 10th. We're up to state number 32 coming up, which is exciting. I mean, it's a lot of states, but we're going to actually 6 states in September. So we're rapidly going to finish off the Northeast. We have influenced thousands of adoptions, and I keep getting these emails from these shelters about these longer term dogs that left after we left. So, it's going well for year number 1.
Nice. What's your favorite experience so far?
It has to be a rescue in, I think it was South Dakota, called B Squad. They raised $40,000 in 4 hours, but it was the excitement. It was they had a lot of stuff. I mean, they had a pool that people were jumping into at milestones. We had pie faces with the news. A couple of news stations caught up to us for that one. It was a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. We had a call center. They basically had a call center there for businesses. They had between them and a place in Iowa called Fort Madison. It was 2 of my favorites.
Nice. So how many states have you visited so far?
31 now. We're going to be going to state number 32 September 6th.
Which is where?
Going to New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware. And actually the second part of September, we're going to be going to Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts.
Oh, nice. Very cool. And you were recently in New York, which was cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. So are there any upcoming Jordan's Way projects you'd like to share?
Just the states that we're going to in September, which is really, really exciting. We are revamping our website, jordanswaytour.com. Woo! But no, our next trip is September 6th, going to those 6 states, which is, we're excited about.
That's very exciting. So who would you say are your biggest supporters?
We have a lot of good support from like Chewy.com. Purina helps us out too when it comes to some of the treats that we use. We have also been obviously supported by the Hallmark Channel with their big boost when we first started the tour. We're also probably going to be ending the tour on the Hallmark Channel, which is awesome. So those are just 3 big shout outs that I love to kind of push. We do get, if you want to shout these out, I mean, we do get great discounts at the Holiday Inn Express and Delta Airlines.
No, that's great. So if anyone wants to donate to Jordan's Way or help out or show any support, how can they do that?
Just go through our website, jordanswaytour.com. And if you want to help out actually a shelter that we're going to, they can be found on our website starting about next week or after. And on Facebook, just tune into our Facebook page. We're always at a shelter and you can see the links to donate to those shelters on all the live feeds.
That's awesome. Any inspiring words to share with our audience members who are on the fence about adopting?
I guess for me, it's adopt, don't shop. It's the same thing, same concepts. I mean, you can easily, spend a lot of money on an animal with a breeder, but these animals at shelters, it's not their fault. A lot of them are just surrendered for reasons of anything. It could be moving, it could be anything. They have, most of the time, 99% of the time I'm at shelters, I ask for reasons, and the reasons are no fault of their own. So for me, it's, give them a shot.
Yeah, definitely. Well, awesome. I love what you're doing and wish you luck on the rest of your tour. It's very exciting, and also excited to see your new website roll out. So all those things are great, and just keep doing what you're doing. So everybody appreciates what you've been doing. It's such a great cause.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and thank you everyone who's listening to Breath of Fresh Marketing. I'm your host, Melissa Sioudakis, and Kris, thanks so much for joining us.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day and be well.